Hi y'all. You're going to notice some trembling in this video because I'm using some handheld action in the recording, and you'll also notice some paper rustling sounds because I took notes. This is a photograph of my grandmother Eunice, my mother's mother. I didn't have any pictures of her in a recent months. After getting deeper into metaphysical studies, I was deeply yearning for some pictures of my grandmother. And lo and behold, weeks ago I went on Facebook and my cousin Deontay had posted this picture of her. Thank you, Deontay. I got copies of it made. And I am delighted. It's gorgeous to me, this photograph, and I'm so grateful to have copies in my possession, y'all. Her name is of Greek origin. It means great victory, good victory, joyous victory. She conquers. Her middle name is Valeria, V like victory. It means to be strong, brave, capable. It's also connected to the same root with the name Valentine. The origin of it is Spanish and Italian. And I found out today, on Saturday, February the 25th, 2018, from someone that there is a root called Valerian, and it is associated with the planet Jupiter. It also used the word strong in the definition of that root, and that is the same word that they use in the definition of the meaning of my grandmother's middle name, strong. And she passed away on a Thursday, and that day is also associated with the planet Jupiter. So I was so pleased to find that commonality with her and that particular root called Valerian. I'm going to get my hands on some of it so I can celebrate her connection to it. Now, my uncle, his birthday is on February the 28th, and my grandmother's day of transitioning from this earth was on February the 22nd. So she passed away days before her son's birthday, y'all. And also, my mother's birthday is October the 30th, and my grandmother's birthday is October the 14th. So on her birthday, my grandmother was days from giving birth to my mother. What a great birthday present, y'all. And my grandmother's mother's name, first name was Marie. My mother's middle name was Marie. And my older sister's middle name is Marie also. So they kept that name Marie in the family tree line, y'all. Now, I went to the Chinese zodiac to learn about my grandmother and some of her traits and so forth. And they indicated that she was born in the year of the tiger. And that's so fascinated me, y'all, because for years I have had a fascination and deep love and fondness for tigers and other big cats as well as domestic cats. As a matter of fact, last month I got me a hoodie with a tiger on it, and I already had a bunch of t-shirts with tigers and lions and other big cats on them. So to discover that connection to the DNA bloodline in the family was really a great discovery, people. And the Chinese zodiac describes the people who were born in the year of the tiger. Says they are brave, competitive, unpredictable, and self-confident. They are very charming and well-liked by others, but sometimes they are likely to be impetuous, irritable, and overindulged. With stubborn personalities and tough judgment, tigers work actively and boldly, express themselves, and do things with a high-handed manner. They are authoritative and never go back on what they have said. With great confidence and indomitable fortitude, they can be competent leaders. They will not make preparations for anything, but they can handle anything that comes along. The Chinese indicate that the tiger is the king of the animals. They are usually the center of attention. They are born with leadership and are respected by others. Tigers are suitable to any career as leaders. It also says they are suited to, among other careers, being writers, y'all. And that was something that resonated with me strongly, too, because I'm a published and licensed writer. My mother was a writer. I'm not sure if she was published. And my father was a writer. Not sure if he was published. My nephew was a writer. Not sure if he's been published. So that, again, is a DNA connection. That Chinese zodiac information was on point to the hilt as far as describing my grandmother and my experience that I had with her personally. I know it's on damn point, y'all. Woo! Okay, so the Chinese also indicated that wood was her element, and that was striking to me too, because last year I bought me some wooden bracelets, and months ago I got me some wooden earrings, not knowing beforehand that they had an association with my grandmama, y'all, and her DNA. And then the Chinese, this is her colors. Some of her colors is blue, gray, orange, and white. And they also indicated, I'm not sure if I got that from the Chinese zodiac, but elsewhere online I found out that her flowers are, among others, her flowers are, bear with me here, people. Let me see here. That would be poppies, lilies of the valley, honeysuckle, baby's breath, morning glory, irises, and gemstones associated with her are carnelian, jasper, among others, moss agate, jade, and her birthstone is sapphire. And they gave her lucky numbers as 1, 3, and 4. And check this out, y'all. She was born on October the 14th, 1914. So we got four ones up in that equation. We got two fours up in there. She was born and transitioned during waning moon phases. When she was born, the waning moon was at 29.12%. And when she transitioned, it was at 3:25 p.m. Waning moon was at 30.53. So we got three threes up in there. And then she passed on 222. So we got triple twos there. When she passed away, she lived at 4602. So we got 1 4 in there. Her life path number I found out elsewhere online is life path number 3. That represents vision, imagination, joy of living. It says she possessed great talent for creativity and self-expression. She was about seeking truth and wisdom. She was about expansion of mental consciousness, which that resonated with me because I've recently gotten into deeper research concerning mental consciousness and expansion. And also, let me see what else it says about the, okay. Oh, and she was born on a Wednesday, and it just so happens that I went down to Vital Records to get her death certificate information on a Wednesday, not knowing that that was the day of the week that she was born. And then the following day was the anniversary of the day that she transitioned from this earth on 222. Now, what are the odds of me going down to Vital Records on the day of the week she was born, and the next day, Thursday, being ruled by Jupiter, and Wednesday being ruled by Mercury, of me being just in time to celebrate her anniversary? Because once I found that out, I had enough time before the day rolled around. Well, actually, I think I went on the day of her anniversary and got a blue calendar because I found out that that was one of her colors. And I got some ice cream and cake, and I sat in a sacred place in the wee hours of the morning and communed with my grandmother on the anniversary of her transition from this earth, y'all. And that was no coincidence of that time, and not at all. I know. Okay, what else did I discover, y'all? Okay. Oh, also, those that are interested, if someone has been transitioned more than 50 years, that information that I sought, the death certificate, it was older than 50 years. And when it's that old and beyond, it's considered public record, and you don't have to go through any extra processes to obtain those documents from the Vital Records offices and buildings. Now, also, my grandmother, family members know that particularly in her younger years, she lived a life of colorful drama. However, this recording is not about that. This is to celebrate the attributes and traits of hers that were of positive, powerful activity, so to speak, y'all. Now, let me share some about my trip to the cemetery. Or not my trip, but my engagement with the people there or the person there. I already knew that I lived walking distance from the cemetery where my grandmother is buried, but I wasn't particular about finding more information about it until I got deeper into metaphysical studies. I did know that my uncle had been up there and he knew the plot where she was. He had been there about maybe 5 or 6 years ago. So I called the cemetery to find out more information so I could get a copy of her certificates. And I talked to a woman, and I told her all I had was my grandmother's name and that she was buried there. And the woman told me that all the information that she had was that the date of her passing, the year of her passing was 1965. And she said she didn't have anything else in the record. Now, I suspected otherwise, so I decided to call back and try to get somebody else on the phone that would give me more information as far as content, more broad content. But I called back and got her on the phone again, and this time, wink, wink, she came up with more information. She told me that she had the funeral home and also the church where the service was held. So then I turned around and called Vital Records and told the woman that all I had was the limited information, and she said even with that, I could come down and they would go into the archives and get me the information. So now, before I left here, it was on a Wednesday, y'all, like I said, the day of the week that my grandmother was born, and the Vital Records building is walking distance from where I live as well. As I was walking down there, I was talking to the spirits. I said, now, y'all know how much I want this information. Please make it happen. And they assured me they were on board and that when I got down there, I would get the information that I desired to obtain. So I walked up in there and explained to the people what was going on, that I talked to someone else on the phone, and they asked me who I talked to, and I didn't know. And so one thing led to another, and they told me that without at least a month of her passing, they would not be able to accommodate me. So I'm standing there thinking to myself, spirits, I know y'all told me I was going to get what I came down here for, so what's up? So one of the women down there at Vital Records suggested that I go back to contact someone at the cemetery. So I went outside, and I just had the presence of mind when I left here to take the phone number to the cemetery with me, the vital records, which I didn't need it down there, but I took it anyhow, and I'm glad I did. So I stepped outside the building at vital records, and I called the cemetery, got that same woman on the phone, and wink, wink. All of a sudden, she had more information. She told me this time that my grandmother was buried there on February the 26th, 1965, and she said in those days, people died and were buried on the same day. I said, no, they weren't. She said, yes, that's what happened back in those days. I said, that's ridiculous. No one died and was buried on the same day. But that woman was adamant that that's what occurred, and I wasn't about to go back and forth with her because I knew damn well that in 1965, didn't nobody die and get buried the same day. And maybe in ancient days that occurred, but not no damn 1965. So, with that information, I took that on into the people at the Vital Records location and got the birth certificate. So I found out on the birth certificate, y'all, that her father's first name was Raymond, that she died relatively young at 50 years old, and she was born at D.C. General Hospital. So I was so fortunate to be able to obtain all that information, y'all. It was quite a pleasing experience, even though I had to go through certain hoops and loops, so to speak. It was worth every bit of time that I spent in the process. And I'm looking at my notes to make sure I covered everything that I think is pertinent to this situation. Indeed. Okay, I believe I did full coverage. If I repeated anything, you know, it is what it is, y'all. So I did think that I mentioned that according to Virgo, her element is Earth, and she's ruled by the planets Mercury and Chiron. So thank y'all for listening, and bye now.